Fanatical Elfz Show, part of the Elfz Network. We are a bunch of wild and crazy Cleveland Browns fans, bringing you all the latest in Browns news. Tune in now. Good evening, everybody, and welcome to the Fanatical Elfz Show here on the Fanatical Elfz Network, part of Fans First. Over there is Steve Gill, and down there is Sam Britton. I'm John Suchan. Thank you for joining us here on this Thursday night. We're back in our regular slot on Thursday nights. It is the Thursday after the season has ended. There's been a lot going on. Let's start. Steve, how are you doing this evening there in Nashville? What's the weather like?
Oh, it's 67 degrees. We made it up to a record-tying 71. It's a little breezy. We're going to get a little rain tonight. Most of it's going to hit. Well, there's going to be some heavy-duty stuff about 4 a.m., and then it's going to clear out. And then about 10, 11 o'clock tomorrow night, more heavy stuff. So, need the rain.
It's almost like a spring weather pattern.
And then it's going to get cold. I think the high is Sunday is 42, and we'll barely make it to that. But hey.
Well, we'll have some football to watch on Sunday, and I think we have football to watch tonight.
Tonight, tomorrow night, Saturday, Sunday.
Yeah. Well, we'll enjoy. It's been really nice going out. Like I went out and took a long walk earlier, and very balmy here, like 60 degrees. Going to be 60 degrees again tomorrow in Columbus. Sam, how are you doing down in the Lone Star State?
Yeah, doing great. Our high was about 80 degrees. Average January weather in Texas. No, it was 78. I got up in the morning at 7 a.m. and it was like 66 degrees outside and humid. It was like 80% humidity. So it was warm and sticky when I went outside in the morning. It was not fun, but yeah, a lot that happened this season. I just did a recap episode, so my brain is kind of in a Browns mindset right now. But yeah,
good.
It's cool to see. It's interesting to see Stefanski gone. I think that was expected and not expected. I wouldn't have been surprised either way. I'm not surprised he's gone, but I also wouldn't have been surprised if he stuck around one more year. So it's interesting to see what will happen in the next few month or two to see where they go for head coach.
After I had a chance, I've had some podcasts now. Steve, you did one. Sam, you just one. We'll get that out here on the Fanatical Elfz Network. You can listen to us on Apple and on Spotify. But after the game on Sunday, the Browns came back, and it was a great win for the team and the Myles Garrett. And I think it meant a lot to the players, and it meant a lot to Stefanski. There was a lot of emotion, and like Steve, I think you talked about it in your show. We were talking about it during the game. At the end of the game, Joel and I, Cade, who does What the Elf, was there with me, and the not karma, but the what would be the word? The fact that the kid missed the kick at the beginning of the year against Cincinnati.
Full circle,
right? And then
that's what I call it.
Yep. And he's such a good kid. It was nice to see him come through like that, and then see yeah.
Thank God they didn't cut him like a lot of Browns fans wanted after week 1.
He was talking about that experience himself, the kicker, and talking to one of the players. I don't know. He was referring to Blake. I don't know who Blake is, but he was saying that on the flight there, or the first game and then this other game, they were in flight talking about this experience and then having the game-winning kick and how it is like for a full circle. Getting a chance to see the kid in person in the locker room many weeks ago, I'm happy for him, considering he's had some tragedy in his family early on in the year. And so that was just one of the many stories. Myles Garrett. Can we talk about Myles Garrett before we get into Stefanski and some of this coaching stuff? But with Myles Garrett, Steve, I'll start with you, and then Sam will come to you again here. He got the record, 23 sacks. There's been some conversation out there in the local and national folks, and some of I find just irritating, talking about how, he didn't really break the record because Strahan did it in 15 or 16 games and TJ Watt did it in 15, 16 games. But I like to use the metric of snaps in the pocket, and he did it in like 200 less practically. So, Steve, where do you stand with all that, and what do you think about Miles' accomplishment?
He's the record holder. Doesn't matter how many games.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, everybody can argue about the greatest running back, and I can sit there and say Jim Brown did it in 12 to 14 game season, which is astonishing. But let's just face facts. He's the record holder.
Mm-hmm.
Simple as that.
Yeah.
No
yeah.
23 is 23.
Yeah.
We all know that Bubba Baker is probably the record holder, but they didn't keep stats.
Yes. Yeah.
Back then. So Al Bubba Baker probably, and I haven't heard him complaining. Has anybody heard him complaining?
Well,
no.
when Strahan was talking about it, I think part of that, he said something about it, and some people took that like he was being derogatory. But if you listen to the whole, did you hear that take that he had when he was on air?
Yeah, I thought he was very, he's congratulated him, and
yeah.
So who cares? 23, good for him. Miles was on a mission after things started rolling. So
yeah, he really. I was really
took until 5 minutes left in the game to get it.
Oh,
but,
right. We were all sitting there, and Joel, who kept saying, and like we've all said this for several weeks, that all these teams are gearing their offenses to go to the right, usually away from Miles, and they're only playing one side of the field. And I was telling Joel, well, what would you do if you were going up against Miles? But that one play that they had him up in the A gap, like as a linebacker, that was like the play before he actually got the sack. And I had said to Joel, I said, I bet, when that series started for Cincinnati, I was like, he's going to get it now. And I wasn't sure it was. So I was happy to see that he came through like that. Sam, what do you think about Miles and his record and comparing it? Because you're younger, and, when you look at these records, do you think it's no asterisks there?
No asterisks. I mean, I mentioned it in my podcast. I'm like, yeah, I understand why someone might say, 16 games. But I'm like, I said in my podcast, I'm like, it's extremely difficult to get 23 sacks just at all. I mean, the fact that you can do it in, I said it could be 2 games, it could be 16, it could be 100. Doing it at all is just extremely impressive, and he broke the record, plain and simple. It doesn't matter if it was 16 games. It doesn't matter if it was 17 like we have now. I think I don't know how. I think with how good edges have gotten over the past few, maybe 5 to 10 years, I feel like they've definitely gotten better and better. I wouldn't be surprised if his record is tied another time, or maybe even broken again. But it certainly seems silly to use games played, and I know they do this in every other sport. I mean, they're always talking about like Jordan, right? They're always like, why would he is the GOAT because he wasn't in a 3-point era. They weren't shooting threes 80% of the games where those points should be higher, and it's simply due to the fact that there's just eras in sports. And I feel like that is something that is really hard to understand for some people. Is sports is an era system, and there's eras where things will change. I bet if you look 20 years in the future, football will be vastly different from what it is now, right? This is a quarterback league. It used to be a different league before. And so it's hard to gauge if someone 20 years ago was going to be better than someone now, just simply due to the fact that the game has changed. And so no, I think his record is perfectly legitimate. I don't see any reason why you would say, he didn't get 16 games, so he shouldn't have a record that doesn't count.
There were a few knuckleheads out there in the national media, especially who were complaining about, well, Joe Burrow took a dive. And we were saying on Monday, I think it was Lou and I were saying, he had Miles got in the backfield in 0.2 seconds or something. Like there's no, like, you can't stop the guy.
It was PTSD. Joe Burrow realized he's about to die, and he's like, I'm just going to lay down. I'm not taking it from Miles because, he has little demons about Miles.
Yeah, no,
Yeah, you
totally.
could see that when he was running away from him and looking behind him.
Right, right.
I
Yeah.
don't know. I know there are a lot of people who are hunters in Ohio, but down here in Tennessee, if you drive around on the back roads, you'll most definitely run across a wild turkey. And I don't care. I've heard people call them one of the more intelligent people. I mean,
Yeah.
intelligent animals.
And most.
If they're in the middle of the road and you're driving, all they're doing is running in the middle of the road and looking back at you. I've had it done to me, and I'm sitting there going, "How stupid! Get out of the way!" So
Right.
that's what he looked like. He looked like a wild turkey running down the middle of the road.
Oh, that's so funny. Well, there were a lot of good moments in that game where our seats, we were in the one end zone. So when the first interception happened, we were in that end zone. And that was a fantastic moment because really Cincinnati had a lot of momentum, and that really helped shift it when Devin Bush got the interception. And then he and Miles Garrett ran together down the
Yeah,
field.
but
And
he shouldn't have
Miles,
been called for the flag. He was trying to
oh, yep.
point to Miles to block the guy, and the referee thought he was taunting the
Yeah.
Cincinnati player.
They didn't pick
Now
that
that
one up then. I thought on
no,
that
no,
first one,
no.
no.
That's why Schmidt hit that game-winning field goal because he kicked 2 extra points from 48 yards.
Yeah.
You got plenty of practice.
Well, the Cincinnati kid, I mean, the fans locally there were surprised because that kid's usually been pretty consistent. So he
He missed a kick in the
two.
last game
Okay. Okay.
before this.
Yeah.
The
Well,
first one was blocked by Alex Wright. And
oh,
by the way, I am so glad they signed him to a contract extension. He is the perfect guy to put on the other side for Myles Garrett. They found their other end, and they've got
yeah.
him extended. And
Yeah,
the
I like.
second one, he just missed it wide right.
Yeah. Um so with the Browns now with their defense, and I mean that's really what they have lock and step, and they have all most of their starters returning from what I read. They have all but one maybe that are signed long term. I think Alex or no, Andrew Barry spoke of that in his press conference briefly. For a lot of fans, that's something that we've been talking about as the Browns now are looking for a new head coach because Kevin Stefanski was let go on Monday. So, Sam, let's start with you on this topic here with the coaching carousel. And then Jim Schwartz
Yeah.
today got interviewed, and so did Tommy Reese,
Tommy
the
Reese.
offensive coordinator. What do you make of all this? What do you like either one of those guys as a potential replacement for Kevin Stefanski?
It's difficult to tell exactly how a coach will perform specifically in your team. I mean, I think either of them could be okay.
Hmm.
It's just simply, I mean, we just need better play calling. I mean, I feel like any improvement would be nice. I keep seeing these weird like end around plays every once in a while that Kevin likes to do, or the 2-point conversions against the Tennessee Titans that ultimately lost us the football game, which he did take responsibility for that, and I think that's
Yeah.
good in a coach taking responsibility for your failures. But I don't exactly know. I don't really know who would be a good replacement right now. I
Hmm.
think there are some people who probably wouldn't be fitting for this team, but maybe it ends up being Schwartz, right? Maybe that's who we end up going with. So I
Yeah.
think I think it's difficult to really see who could be the best fit for this team.
Yeah, I wanted to get into a little bit of that. I had a few names I wanted to talk about, but before that, I wanted to again, Steve with with Schwartz and Tommy Reese. They're both guys here on the team. Do you have a favorite amongst those, or would you like to see either one of
I don't
those
have a
guys sit?
favorite at all right now. I
Uh huh.
mean, I want to see who they're going to interview. I don't agree that they're going to interview about 50 people. That was
Yeah.
absurd. I heard on the radio this
Somebody
morning.
said that.
Yeah, I guess.
Oh.
As for the two internal guys, I know they like Schwartz a hell of a lot.
Yeah.
And the players love Schwartz. So I don't know about Tommy Reese. He's a little young. I don't know. That's up to the next head coach. If it's Schwartz, I would assume he'd want to hire his own offensive coordinator. I know that if it's Schwartz, he would probably keep promote his assistants. I would assume that he would make probably a Banda, the secondary coach, the
Okay.
defensive coordinator, or maybe Jason Tarver. He's been a D coordinator before, both in college and in the pros.
Okay.
So as for the offensive side, that would be up to the new head coach.
Okay. So let's talk about some of these other candidates here. Steve, I know you've probably got some names. I'm trying to pull these names up here, but there were two other folks that at least I saw. One of them is this kid from Seattle, and I think you mentioned it. I saw you had reposted something earlier on social media on the X earlier tonight or earlier. Yeah, I saw it yesterday too. The defensive coordinator for Seattle,
Yeah,
I think is scheduled Dundee, and he's English, right? From
yeah,
England.
he's yeah, worked up through the system starting in the intern program.
Okay.
But big, he has a big fan in the Seattle defensive coordinator, McDonald. Loves him.
Yes.
Heard
Okay.
good things about him. He's very good. He could be the Rooney hire because he is black.
Okay.
So we don't know.
Yeah.
But, you got to toss a wide net.
There's that guy, and then of course the other thing that happened yesterday or the day before after the
Day before.
Ratbirds the day before in Seattle and Pittsburgh played. The Browns were already scheduled to interview, or they're scheduled to interview Todd Monken, who was with Baltimore, and then in the
That's funny.
meantime, John Harbaugh left after 18
2 hours
years.
later, John Harbaugh was canned.
Yes.
Probably because he wouldn't fire, one of the reasons, because he wouldn't fire Todd Moulton.
Yes. That's what I read too.
There were other issues. So
where do you fall with that, Steve? And then Sam, I want to talk to you about that too. With
Harbaugh?
Yeah, because
he's not going to start interviewing till next week.
Right.
He's already eliminated, told his agent that 2 of the teams have expressed interest he doesn't want to talk to. Nobody knows who those 2 teams are.
Okay.
Would he be interested in the Browns? Well, his entire family are Browns fans.
His parents were married, right?
His father has always dreamed of him coaching the Browns. It would take a ton of money. They'd throw a ton of money, and we're talking big time. I mean, he's making like $16 million. So you're looking at about $18 million in a long-term deal.
What was Stefanski making? Do we know?
Who I don't remember. Maybe 6 or 7.
Okay.
But Jimmy likes to spend money and doesn't count against the cap. So, but conversely, I've heard that he really didn't like the last time that he and his brother had to play each other when the Ravens faced the Chargers. He's very uncomfortable. That's why a lot of people are suggesting he would go to an NFC team, which would make perfect sense.
Sure.
I mean, so the one thing, and you got to watch this, that Mike McDonald was fired today in Miami. And the owner says they're going to interview GM position before they hire a coach. There's a guy with the last name of Alexander.
Yes.
Who is one of the finalists. He's real close to the Harbaughs.
They are. Yes,
so
I read that
That would
too.
be to pay attention to. If they hire him, he is more than likely going to go to Miami.
But that would keep him.
You look at all these different positions, and everybody likes to rank which job position. That's a bunch of hogwash.
Right. Oh, I know.
If you're an NFL coach, you got an ego out the butt.
Well, Sam,
and you think you can coach any team to anywhere you want to go. If you don't have an ego, you shouldn't be in the business. So, right now, Stefanski is going to go talk to the Raiders. He's already got a visit scheduled with the Raiders. I don't know what the hell's going on down here in Tennessee. They talked to Jason Garrett, and they're going to talk to Arthur Smith. That just shows you how serious they are.
So I have a list here. I want you guys to listen to this. And Sam, I want you to react to it first. But I won't say knucklehead. These people are just throwing crap out there in La La Land. But this guy had John Harbaugh going to the Giants. He has Kevin Stefanski going to the Falcons. He has Mike McCarthy coming to Tennessee. He has Cliff Kingsbury going to the Raiders. Brian Flores going to the Ratbirds. Clint Kubiak going to the Cardinals. And then Jesse Minter coming here to Cleveland. Now, Jesse Minter is he a defense? He's a defensive guy. I'm trying to think where his last gig was. What do you think of that, Sam? Any of that make sense to you, or
I don't know. That's a weird thing. I wouldn't be Harbaugh in New York would make sense to some degree, right? Looking at Jackson Dart, you've got a quarterback who could be good. I think Dart has potential, assuming he doesn't turn into like a pickle in the next few years from getting slammed at 100 miles an hour by 210-pound men.
Yeah.
But, I mean, yeah, I think that would be interesting. I also think the Raiders would also be interesting. You start off with the number 1 pick. I think it's more or less a lock that they're going to go and get Mendoza. It doesn't really make any sense for the Raiders not to get Mendoza. You don't have a quarterback.
Mendoza.
So, yeah, I think Giants and Raiders would be interesting. I think he's not going to Miami. I don't think Miami's going to get him. The team's just so unstable right now. Tyreek Hill, he's hurt or he doesn't want to play. Tua is a mess all the time. It's just really unstable. Yeah. So maybe he comes to Cleveland. There's always that family connection that occurs here. But yeah, I think he could be in position to come to really whoever he wants to go to, right? He's got options. It just depends on if he wants more money or if he wants stability, if he wants quarterback, right? Like the Raiders or the Giants or someone like that. It's up to him, really.
Steve, did you hear any more? I know you were talking to us behind the scenes leading up to Sunday and the Monday. Any more from your inside knowledge of? I mean, it sounded like it up to the very end. It was unpredictable. There was ups and downs.
It is unpredictable. It was 50-50 in Stefanski. Another name we forgot was Dan Pitcher.
Yes,
offensive coordinator of the Bengals, worked through that system. He started out as a scout.
Yeah.
I wouldn't mind him at all.
Really?
I mean, Burrow loves him. He's produced a top 10 passing offense the last 2 years. The offense got better after he replaced Callahan. So, and he's worked his way all the way up. He used to be a quarterback coach. If you want a young quarterback to be developed, he's the guy to do it.
Okay.
But, he's 39, which is fine. That's good age.
Sure.
So
wasn't Stefanski right around there, 40 or?
Yeah, he was right around there.
Yeah.
So,
what are your final thoughts of, like, not your final, but I mean, on Stefanski, because there was a lot of back and forth and, now he's leaving, he's interviewing, like you said, he's going out to the Raiders. It sounds like he already interviewed with the Giants.
He's interviewed with the Giants. He's going to interview with the Falcons and the Titans.
He's got to have probably most of these jobs, many of these jobs. He'll probably be the number 1 candidate. He might have more than one.
Well, Harbaugh is the number 1 candidate.
Yes, obviously.
Harbaugh can pick wherever the hell he wants to go.
Do you think Stefanski can do almost that too?
Kind of.
Yeah.
Kind of.
He's 2-time coach of the year. That always speaks for something.
Yeah, he can pick his spots, but the Raiders, how many coaches have they fired over the last 5 years?
Many.
Do you really want to walk into that situation?
Yeah.
If you're a head coach, I wouldn't. And then you've got the other side of the coin, the Bengals, who never fire a coach that's under contract because Mike Brown doesn't want to pay him for not doing anything. Wouldn't that be weird if Zach Taylor was the only returning coach for the AFC North? If Mike Tomlin goes out and the Steelers lay an egg, he'll probably either get fired or walked away. That would just
What about bringing him here to Cleveland?
No, thank you.
Tomlin.
No, thank you.
No?
No.
I don't want to lose into the wild card every single season.
Anyway, he wouldn't come here. Second of all, he is more loyal to his assistants than Kevin Stefanski is. They've
Uh-huh.
been. How many years did he keep Matt Canada when everybody
Mhm.
wanted him fired? Still
Yeah.
held on to him. Their defensive coordinator. The fans have been trying to get rid of him for 2 years, and he's still held on to him. So anyway, I don't think the Steelers something like 30 games where they haven't scored more than
Well, they're lucky.
haven't scored 14 points in the first quarter for something like 30 straight games.
They are
And you
so
want to
lucky
bring
to win
that?
that game.
And you're bitching about the offense, and you want to
I
bring
know.
that in
I
here?
didn't even know what happened. I literally did not know what happened in that game until noon the next day when I was at school, and I just happened to see somebody, and I said, "How did that game go last night?" Oh, the Steelers won. I'm like, "Okay," and they're like, "Oh yeah, the Ratbirds missed a field goal." I said, "What?" Like they missed the last second field goal. Oh man. So,
Yeah, my favorite
uh,
thing about that game was Chris
yeah,
Boswell coming up and everyone joking.
yes,
He's been like, "Yep, I've been there before,"
uh-huh.
taking an entire season away. I was I felt a little bad for the kicker, but I was parading around my house like, "Yeah, I hope you go home and cry tonight." I was so happy seeing that happen. I felt bad, it sucks losing your season on a human level. Like that's really unfortunate.
Oh, for
That's
sure.
gonna sting for the rest of his
They
life.
always they always
But
luck into
it's the
everything.
Ravens, so I'm like, yes, I've never been happier before in my life. It was
Hey,
it was pretty
Yeah.
amazing.
Well, despite the Browns, hey, let's pause for a quick commercial break, and I want to ask a couple questions about the Browns and looking forward with this coaching change coming up. Let's pause here. This is the Fanatical Elves show on Thursday night. We'll be right back. Thanks for coming back and listening to us. Thanks. Shout out to Hemisphere Coffee Roasters. They shake the hand of the farmer. Great coffee company outside of Columbus here. We've got on our X page the link. You click on it. You buy some amazing coffee. Us here in the Fanatical Elves will share 15% of that. We would love for you to buy some coffee. It's
buy
amazing.
some damn coffee.
Please, for God's sakes, I don't think I can eat lunch tomorrow if I don't get that.
Lunch. I can't wake up
Yeah,
and
and
not
a
have a
shout out
cup
to
of coffee.
Spotlight Cleveland. Spotlight Cleveland is a local bar right off to the west side of the stadium, about 5 minute drive. I think it's off of Lakeshore, one of the main drags there. Family owned, related to the family. Stop by after the game. Stop by anytime. They're on the near west side there. Spotlight Cleveland, a lot of fun. They have a lot of singing, karaoke. They have all sorts of live entertainment too. So, okay, let me ask you this about the Browns. Um, when you're looking at this team moving forward and looking at like we were just saying before the break, the Steelers and the Ratbirds, they neither team really did anything. Cincinnati didn't do anything. The Browns ended up at 5-12, and you look at the whole division, and I think from a lot of the season we were like, this season or this division is for the taking. So as me following this team right now, I with this solid defense and with the coaching change coming up, I don't think this Browns team is that far off from winning a lot more. So I wanted your perspective on that. And I guess the other part of this is I just want to share this out. And you maybe have seen stats like this, but I think I don't want to point it out to put down the Browns, but I think when you're talking about bringing in a new coach and where the team is or where it came from in the recent decades, yeah, the stat Daryl Ryder, and I know some of you don't like him, but he reposted some stats here about the Browns' record. They have a dismal record since they started. I won't bring that up, but about all that they've had 23 losing seasons. They've had 4 winning seasons. They've had 3 playoff appearances. They've had 19 seasons where they were double-digit losses, like this year, 5-12. They've had 42 starting quarterbacks and they've had 10 coaches since 1999. So when you're if you're interviewing for this job, I mean, how is Jimmy Haslam? How is Andrew Berry? How are they spinning this to the coaching staff? Obviously, we've had 10 coaches in that time span, so we've tried this a few times. Steve, let's start with you. How do you try to how do they go about these interviews? I mean, I'm looking at it from like just the history of this team in recent decades. How do we get better quick and turn all this around? And can we?
Sure.
Okay.
I saw a tweet of Mitchell Schwartz, who used to play for the Browns, offensive lineman, defending Jimmy Haslam. Said when he played there, he always was open to any player knocking on his door and coming in. He wants to win. He spends the money. So, new facilities, new stadium coming soon, devoted fan base. It's when you're talking about one of 32 jobs. So it's, if you're interviewing for a job, you want to be a head coach. That's the whole purpose of interviewing for one of 32. So you really don't have to pitch in the NFL. It's not like,
Well, that's when it gets into this conversation where people are trying to, like you were saying earlier, how these people are ranking the more
that's all
appealing
stupid.
jobs, right?
Like I said, that's dumb. Every one of these jobs has a problem to it. You got Jackson Dart, who can't stop getting concussions. You got down in Atlanta, who's the quarterback? Penix, who keeps getting hurt.
They're gonna bring in Joe Flacco.
Or our old no, they've got Kirk Cousins underneath.
Well,
that's another thing. He's got another guarantee coming first February. You go to Tennessee. Their team's a mess. Their owner is a mess. Raiders, like we just said, they keep firing coaches at the drop of a hat. Baltimore is very stable, but you've heard the complaints about Lamar Jackson. That he really hasn't taken this serious, and the front office did not want to fire Harbaugh. The owner fired him. They wanted to keep him. And who else is that? What other job open? Oh, Miami. God only knows. You're stuck with Tua. You can't trade him because then you'd end up with $99 million in dead money. So the job opportunities should not be ranked. It's there are one of 32 jobs.
Sam,
each has its strength, each has its weakness. But if these guys aren't serious about head coaches, you shouldn't hire them to begin with.
Sam, how do you sell this? I mean, I agree with everything that Steve is saying here with the Browns. I mean, you look at this, you haven't really seen the Browns. Well, you've seen them somewhat successful in recent years. How do you sell this to these? I mean, like Steve said, there's only 32 of these jobs, so you shouldn't have to sell anything. But
you work this.
What's appealing about the Browns to you?
You work this as a business. You tell them, all right, you've got Haslam. Haslam likes spending money. He's a good spender. You've got a new stadium, right? That always is nice. You've got fans who are sometimes a little bit harsh, but you've got a good, deep, strong fan base. The new stadium is always an appeal. And then you tell them, look, you've got Judkins, you've got Fannin, you've got Schlesinger, you've got all these rookies now. You've got a really high draft pick as well in this draft. You have a structure here. You can get a really decent. If you just draft 2 offensive linemen, that can completely change the whole landscape of your offensive line. And then one more pickup in the offseason, whether it be a vet you pick off a free agency or you trade for another offensive lineman, just like a smaller, more minor, but still good offensive lineman. That's a whole new team you've got. And so you sell it as you've got a big spender. He'll spend your money. If you ask for something, he will be like, all right, yeah, maybe we can buy this, right? And also Watson's cap is going to start dropping off in the next year or so.
What about Watson, Sam? Do you see that at all? Because I've seen some national people say, oh, it's going to be Watson who's going to be starting quarterback. I'm like,
he's not going to be starter. He's not going to be the second string. He's not going to be the third string or the fourth string. In fact, he isn't going to be a string. He's going to be a thread. He's not going to be playing any games for the Browns.
He used to wear one of these things because that's what he's going to be doing.
Well, and that's interesting to me because there's some national people out there, people like
well, they don't know what the hell
they don't know.
Talking
yeah,
about. They're going to bring in
the Lakers. They have no idea what they're talking about.
Look, they're going to bring in a quarterback. They have to bring in a veteran quarterback. They have
to.
Because Deshaun wants
Mac Jones.
I don't know if Mac Jones is going anywhere. He wants to go out there because he wanted to play for Shanahan.
Yeah.
I don't know who they're going to get either by signing or trading. But no, it's not going to be Anthony Richardson. I saw that too. That's the stupidest idea. The guy can't stay healthy. So, they're going to do that. Sam's right. Young talent, 2 first-round draft picks, 10 picks overall, 3 in the top 40. So yeah, they definitely could trend up, but it just depends on who they hire to run the offense. If Schwartz get the head coach, then it's all on him. He's got to pick his offensive coordinator. So we'll see. The NFL has designed this whole hiring process to fall after the Super Bowl and before the combine, because that's when they're low and they love to be on TV.
Yeah.
So you might get rumors of this guy's ahead, that guy's ahead. Who knows?
Okay. Well, will that happen here?
And that's another selling point.
Yeah.
For a coach. You coming in with the best defensive player in the league and the rookie defensive player in the league. I mean, Mason Graham led all
49 tackles. Yep.
All rookie defensive tackles in tackles. So your defense is definitely a selling. Pro Bowl corner.
Harold Fannin, 750 yards.
Pro Bowl safety.
Yep.
I have heard that Malik Collins' rehabilitation is going extremely well.
So he'll be back.
Quinshawn Junkins is proceeding extremely well. Don't know about Luke Whippler. I don't think he's had his MRI yet. So I knew he was going to have it this week, but nobody's heard anything. Okay,
so it's going to be a little bit of time. I saw something on the local Cleveland station where they showed a calendar of all the previous head coaches the Browns have had and when they've been hired on the calendar. And it could happen anytime starting next week. Is there any timetable in your opinion? We're waiting to maybe interview Harbaugh next week?
Well, if they don't hire anybody, it just depends on how the playoffs go.
Yeah.
I mean, if they're interested in somebody when the games begin, I mean, they can do a Zoom meeting up till, I believe, tomorrow on teams that are in the playoffs.
Oh, okay.
After that, you can only coach. You only talk to people, talk to coaches who aren't in the playoffs.
Yeah.
And
Sam,
could be some more firings. You never know.
Right. Sam, I guess I want to ask both of you this question, but Sam first, do you have a favorite right now? I know we talked a little bit about these coaching. Do you have anybody like just off the wall that you're like, oh, this guy would be cool, would be cool in Cleveland?
I mean, Harbaugh would be fun, that would be really interesting to see. I don't think he's going to come simply because of he doesn't want to play his brother, like you said, Steve. And also going against your opponent twice a year that you just were part of for almost 20 years probably is also a bit of a factor to if he'd come. I think it'd be interesting. Sure. You always have that influence of your family. Now, some people don't consider that as much when they're doing these deals. I doubt his agent has that in mind. Harbaugh might be like, hey, my whole family loves this team. My dad has always wanted me to play with these guys. And his agent might be like, all right, we'll see what the Browns offer.
Are his parents alive?
Yeah.
They both are? Wow, cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Harbaugh's 63 or 66, something like that. He's up there.
It would be fun to have Harbaugh, but I can't really think of anyone else at this moment. I haven't done a whole lot of research yet to figure out who's out there to pick. But Harbaugh would be interesting. I think that'd be a neat little combination with him and Shadur.
And Steve, do you have anybody else outside of Cincinnati? Yeah.
Mike LaFleur, Matt LaFleur's brother.
Okay.
Interesting. They haven't announced anything yet, but I'd be interested in talking to him. And Harbaugh's agent is the same agent as Deshaun Watson, and they have bent over backwards to make Deshaun Watson comfortable in this little farce they're playing for the national media.
Really?
To make him look good. And by the way, he made a ton of money off the Browns as an agent. 3% of $240 billion.
Yeah.
pretty damn good.
What was I was gonna had one more question. Well, just looking around the league, with all the things coming up, we've got college football. I think it just started with Ole Miss and
Yep,
Miami tonight.
they're playing right now.
We've got the NFL games. What do you think about some of these games being on? Isn't one of the game like on Peacock or something? You have to have
Really?
Peacock to watch one of the
I
games.
ain't
I'm not
signing up
sure.
for Peacock. Give me a
Right? I
break.
mean, oh, man. What do you think about the
No.
rest of the Sam? What do you think about the rest of the games in the NFL right now, Sam?
Yeah, it's interesting. If the Packers are out just like that, you could see LaFleur gone. I think they like
Yeah.
LaFleur. I think they want to keep him around. Um, I
Oh,
mean, you
yeah.
still got Jordan Love and everything, but hey, if you are out right then to the Bears, especially,
Uh-huh.
looking at such an intense, probably like some people will call it the biggest rivalry in the NFL. I think
Yeah.
that's pretty reasonable to say. If you lose prime time game, because people are going to be watching it in a
Yeah.
prime time fashion because it
Yeah.
is Bears versus Packers, and you lose, that is definitely a consideration. So LaFleur would be interesting, but I don't know.
Well, that's
It's a
Matt
lot of.
LaFleur. I was talking about Mike LaFleur, his
He's talking
brother.
about his brother.
I know. I'm also saying that if the Packers are out, though, LaFleur, they've been considering how LaFleur is feeling in the Packers,
Oh,
and if he's
okay.
going to stick around.
Yeah.
He does have a job,
Bring
in terms of
the
if he wins, he's secure, right? I think that's obvious. But no, I think LaFleur in the Packers, I think he could be at risk if he just is boom out in the wild card. Um, yeah, I don't know.
It's kind of crazy.
Only Haslam and a few coaches' agents really know what's going on right now. So
Yeah.
that's all we have right now. And Barry, I think, probably is contributing because
Yeah.
if the coach
Yeah.
does
Oh,
terrible, Barry could be on the chopping block.
He's going to hire the coach. So, yeah, he's
Yeah,
more
yeah.
That was a tough
contributing.
the conference that they had earlier in the week.
I thought
that
they
was,
both did extremely well. And if
Oh,
you
they
really,
did.
really listened, they laid
No,
out
they
a
did.
bunch of information.
No, all
If
I
you
was gonna
really
say,
listened.
Steve, no, I know, Steve. What I was going to say is I think that was a very hard press conference for Andrew Barry. You could tell the emotional side of it because he
Yeah,
even talked
I
about the
mean,
family and the kids and
there's a
that
lot
sort
of
of thing.
garbage out there about him and Stefanski. They got along. They didn't mesh all the time. And, I've been married. I'll be married 40 years to my wife next month. We don't always get along.
No.
We may occasionally wear 2 or 3 times a week, wear the same colored shirt. But I never saw any Cleveland media report that Kevin and Andrew Barry walked into the facility wearing the same colored shirt. So I think that was a safe. Then you got all these stories about how Kevin didn't want Stefanski didn't want Watson, and I asked that, and I was told by somebody else I trust that yeah, sure, somebody drove him to Houston while another front office individual put a gun to his wife's head. He was involved in that, and yes, he did have decision making over his coaches, and yes,
Sure.
he did have power. He wasn't powerless. I mean,
Yes.
yeah,
no, I just was saying,
out of the office.
no, it's just been a lot of, obviously because he was fired and Andrew Barry stayed on. I think that was the first part of the week. I was just taking note of the fact that you could tell, it was a good press conference and they said a lot. And I think if, like you said, you were really listening to what they talked about, and that's where, like, even one of the things they talked about with this coaching search, which you probably heard, Steve, is they talked about Stefanski and how he got hired and his experience and not having a lot of coaching, like at the head coaching position, but that they like these young people. And so maybe a kid like the one down in Cincinnati would be appealing.
Pitcher.
Yeah, pitcher.
Well, they could be interviewing him to be Schwartz's offensive coordinator. We don't know. I mean,
That's
remember
the other thing, right?
Andy Dickerson? They interviewed him to be the offensive coordinator when secretly they were interviewing to be the O-line coach. So that's one thing you got to keep in the back of your mind when you hear these announcements of them talking to coaches. They've done this before.
Mike McCarthy used to coach the Dallas Cowboys. Is he going to be coaching somewhere next year, you think, Sam?
No, because he sucks. No, I'm
Thank
not
you.
exactly. I really doubt it. you don't. The problem is also he coached the Cowboys, and the Cowboys are the highlight of the NFL. They are all that anyone can talk about. Now we've seen that kind of decline a tiny bit because if they haven't been very successful, that's kind of moved over to the Chiefs a little bit as well. But they're still America's team. They're still the hugest, most talked about team. So no, I think
Not the
McCarthy.
Brownies, not the Brownies.
No, unfortunately, not the Browns. We aren't there.
Browns are the world's team.
There you
Yeah,
go.
where the Cowboys are America's team, but no, I don't
That's
think
right.
Mike McCarthy is going to be doing anything because he's not
Okay.
exactly the best coach in history.
Okay. Well,
Uh,
I think,
It's ludicrous to think the Browns would hire Mike McCarthy.
yeah. No, I agree.
It's silly.
I agree.
It's
I
just
think
so
it's.
silly.
I'd be interested to see who
It's
they get.
unserious.
Yeah. I'm anxious to see. I think a lot of Browns fans are. I mean, I'm a diehard like all of you, and it's going to be another opportunity. And while Stefanski got fired, I mean, I liked Stefanski a lot of times, but I was also saying that I don't think
Well,
I thought he should have been fired. But
that's
I think he's going to be a
that's
good coach. He is a good coach, and
that's the one thing about Haslam's media availability. He told you why I got fired. 8 wins
mm,
in 2 years.
Mm.
So it's bottom line business.
Yeah.
I also got the impression he's going to spend as much money as humanly possible. So
Yes.
I got that. And as for Andrew Berry, I got the impression that they're going to fix this. And they're going to bring in an experienced veteran quarterback to compete.
When Cleveland
That's the
thinks
two things I got from him.
when Cleveland thinks about success, I'm hoping, fingers crossed, that what happened with the Cleveland Indians and their resurgence as they got into the new ballpark back in '94, and then all that
When
whole
we
stretch,
didn't have Browns.
when we didn't have the Browns, that can repeat itself for the Brownies as we
Just
move
remember,
forward.
if you go by the 2025 records of the teams, the Browns right now have the easiest schedule.
Okay, I didn't know that.
Yep.
Of the AFC
Well, they're
North
playing
teams,
the NFC South and the AFC South. The Raiders, the Giants, and the Jets are their other 3 outside teams.
All right. Final thoughts here, Sam. What do you get? A final thought here before we leave tonight? And Sam's got a show. The Browns breakdowns coming out later tonight too.
Final thought. Yeah. I mean, the whole thing with the coaches, we won't really know what's going on for a few more days. Interviews will really start to pick up next week for all the coaches. That's going to be when they're going to start picking up. Is next week. I know the Cowboys are looking at defensive coordinator, and I don't think they're interviewing anyone till next week. So Monday through Friday, and probably Sunday as well, you'll notice a whole lot of pickup in terms of rumors and stuff. So we'll see what happens then. But Harbaugh would be fun to have. I think it's not exactly the most likely scenario, but you never know. There's a lot of contributing factors that go into a coach's decision and also an agent's decision on if he thinks this is the correct team, because the agent does talk a lot about that with the coach. So yeah, I think it'll be very interesting next 1 to 2
Right.
weeks.
Okay, Steve, final thoughts?
And if everybody's wondering why Andrew Berry is doing this coaching search, he has the absolute best relationships with agents. Over his 6-year tenure, he has done players more favors than any other GM in the NFL. And that's what you want. You want to have the ear of the agent. Okay. Also, Sam, Dallas tried to get an interview with the defensive coordinator of Atlanta, and Atlanta blocked him. So, well, the owner said we got to wait to see if the coach wants to keep. And that's another thing. I've heard a lot of people say why Bubba Ventrone isn't fired, because this is normal NFL procedures. Coaches on the current staff stay on staff until the new coach is hired.
Yes.
That's how it's done. Okay.
Okay.
Everybody calm down.
Well, I'm anxious to see what happens. I think a lot of Browns fans are. There's still a lot of negativity out there. You're never going to correct that. And you're never going to get them off social media. You never get them off of La La Land. But it does. We'll see what happens over the next several weeks. There's a lot of things like Steve, you've pointed out, Sam, you know this with there's free agency first, there's the combine, then there's the free agency, and then there's the draft. So
We
people are
got
jumping to the
we got the
draft.
All-Star Bowl games. You got the Senior Bowl, which is
Yeah,
always interesting. East-West
right.
Shrine Game, very interesting. These are
Yeah.
guys, first time these college guys have
By the
been done their
way,
NFL coaching.
I was just going to mention to you guys and anybody that's listening that my colleague at work. I think I've mentioned this before. Uh, her son plays as a backup at Ohio State, and I had a conversation with her and about her son and his role with the team. He didn't really play much, but he dressed. He suited up. He traveled.
Oh,
They
nice.
went down to wherever they played, Dallas, right? They played that game
The
a
Cotton
week or
Bowl.
two, the Cotton Bowl. And what was interesting, because I asked her about some of these other players, these high profile players like Carnell Tate and Jeremiah Smith, and even who was it last year? The quarterback, Will Howard. And very interesting because she knows the parents and things like that, and she knows these kids because they're friends, and just interesting perspective because so many of us look at these kids. They're kids. I mean, they're young adults, and we're giving them all this money in the spotlight. But she was talking about like how Carnell Tate, for example, is very quiet. He's reserved. He really doesn't like the limelight. He doesn't like all the, he would rather just sit in the back and nobody pay attention to him. Jeremiah Smith is kind of similar. Will Howard, she said, really nice guy, will talk your ear off, loves to talk to people, things like that. So it's an interesting to get that kind of perspective because, I said, Carnell Tate is projected to be a top draft pick, right? Isn't that he's looking to be drafted in the first rounds? So
I keep seeing drafts with him going to the Giants at 5.
wow,
And that makes perfect sense.
with Jackson Dart
With
there?
Neighbors as the other wide
Neighbors.
receiver. Yeah, that makes perfect sense.
Ugh, gonna be nasty if Jackson Dart can stay healthy.
It can stay awake.
Yeah, Neighbors and Dart already is gonna be gross, but
Yeah.
Tate, Neighbors, and Dart is gonna be really good if they can build something around that.
Yeah.
It's just very interesting to hear, when you talk to these people that are related or somehow within the team. Oh, and that was the other thing, like about Ryan Day. She told me that Ryan Day, in her opinion and the things that she knows about him, that he is extremely committed. Like he goes above and beyond with the families and these players, and people don't know that about him, that they always, especially here in Columbus, that he's sometimes perceived he can't win the big game and all this stuff. But he says she was saying how he is beloved by his players, by the parents. I mean, it's pretty interesting to hear that, because you're probably the highest profile college program out there right now, right? So very interesting. Because I asked her, I said, do you think he'd ever want to come to the NFL, right? Isn't that do you ever see Ryan Day coming to the NFL?
He's been in the NFL.
Has he? Okay.
Yeah, with Chip Kelly. And he was going to be the quarterback coach of the Titans, but Urban made him assistant head coach because Urban knew that he was going to succeed. Day knew that he was going to succeed Urban. Yeah, the Titans wanted to hire him as a quarterback coach. He spent a lot of time bouncing around the league as a quarterback coach. So he's been in the NFL.
By the way, Sam has frozen. If you're watching us live here on YouTube or Facebook or the X, again. We're going to end our show now. Sam, thanks for being here. Yeah, Sam's there, but he's frozen. His Wi-Fi died.
I hope he's okay.
So he said the Wi-Fi died. So
blink your eyes.
Everybody, thank you so much for joining us here tonight on the Fanatical Elves. And we look forward to talking to everybody again next week, Thursday. Join us again at 7:30. Steve Gill right here. He's got his show coming up, Dog Pound South, probably
Sunday
now.
Sunday. I'm back to Sunday since I don't have to watch the Browns lose.
Cool beans. So look forward to that. Sam will have his show out later tonight, and please join me for the Johnny Cleveland podcast. We got Rod Bloom coming up next with the Browns Blitz, and tomorrow night Lou Marconi will have his last not stirring the pot, last Bernie River Browns talk show, part of the Fanatical Elves Network. So tune into that tomorrow night at 9 o'clock. Until next time, sayonara, goodbye, go Browns.
Au revoir. Adios. Auf Wiedersehen.